Hello, it's Doishy here to have a go at making a video. I thought I'd give it a go. We're going to have a look through my Eternal Weekend run from the Sunday event. I think it was the Maze of Ith. And I am joined by the lovely Eric Hulahula Klaus.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, happy to be here. I feel fortunate to be part of your first video.
Yeah, man. Hopefully we'll have a good time. Get some interesting games going. So
Yeah. As I said before, I'm I'm leaning back on my chair, having a beer, and just enjoying sitting in the back seat for once.
Nice one. So anyone who's not familiar, Eric has a YouTube channel, which I will post a link to, where he puts up a lot of lovely videos of him playing Doomsday.
Mm-hmm.
And he has been championing it for a long time, but has been one of the main sort of contenders since the Thassa's Oracle printing at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, like it sparked a new interest for sure. I don't know for how long have you been playing Doomsday?
I've been playing since I think it was 2014, 2015. Because I remember sort of being very sad when the top ban came in.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously that was really hard, but we sort of built up from that, and that's it was just before the top ban that I really started getting embroiled with the sort of online community, and then I kind of inherited it, I guess, for want of a better word, after the top ban, because a lot of the people who obviously played the deck jumped off it, citing it as unplayable. And then obviously the Cataxian Probe ban hit. That was rubbish, to put it politely.
Yeah, like for me personally, I think that was actually worse.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
Than the top ban.
And actually, although I tried a couple of the builds and a couple of the experimental frenzy builds that like Ape of Justice and stuff were running, I just couldn't get into it. So actually, between the top ban and Thassa's Oracle printing, I was playing other decks, I'm ashamed to say.
Yeah, it sounds like you and me have like roughly similar experience playing Doomsday then, because I think that sounds a lot like what I've experienced as well.
Yeah. And then obviously, we came to the end of 2019, beginning of 2020. Underworld Breach was printed. Thassa's Oracle was printed. I knew I wanted to play both of these cards, actually in the same deck as well. And I thought I would give Breach a try first because that was the more likely one to be banned.
Yeah, and you were right.
And I was right. So I really enjoyed playing Breach for the 3-4 weeks it was legal.
I actually enjoyed playing Doomsday versus Breach, even though it was horrendous. But it was also pretty fun at the same time, because you just couldn't cast Doomsday. or rather, you had such a small opportunities where you actually could cast Doomsday and win. So I sideboarded out, so I have like 1 or 2 Doomsday left in the deck. And just you try to become like a super duper slow control deck.
Yeah.
And the games took forever.
Yeah. So then obviously Breach was banned, and I rebuilt Doomsday, re-sleeved it, which I was really excited for. And then the pandemic happened.
Oh yeah.
So thankfully I have been able to play this on paper since. I've been lucky enough, but obviously a lot of it has been not able to play except for online on Cockatrice or Paper Legacy via webcam. And then I've never been one for sort of Magic Online. It's never really appealed because I own the cards in paper. I don't want to have to buy them again in Magic Online, and the fact you have to pay for an account, pay for the cards, pay for the events. It just in my head it's poor value, but
it is. But you get used to it, and then you can't see yourself doing something else. So
and it's really good for just getting reps in, for just being able to play. And so when I saw the Eternal Weekend thing saying that they were doing the God accounts that they had done for was it the Nerd Rage Gaming events? They had done them before?
I'm not sure.
Yeah. So I was really excited about that. I thought I actually wouldn't be able to play in the Legacy ones because I was visiting friends that weekend, but it turns out we were having a very important delivery on the Monday morning after. So we were going to stay over their house Sunday, and so lo and behold, I had Sunday evening free, and so boom, bought the God account for a week.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
So you didn't like, did you have time testing on Magic Online before the event, or was it just you jumping right into it?
I did have some time to get used to Magic Online, so I jammed a load of games in the practice rooms. As much as people, down talk them, it was really good for just getting used to the client.
Yeah, I've played a lot there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because you get some play points when you get your account activated, I did manage to run a league, actually 2 leagues, where I went 3-2 and then 2-3. A couple of losses due to Magic Online interface issues, and I only skipped my turn once, thankfully.
Yeah, you know the misclicking. It happens to the best of us.
Yeah.
It really never goes away.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Good to hear.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did manage to get some practice in, and some of the guys on the Discord were lovely enough to play, challenge me and get some games in there as well. So I felt at least mildly prepared. And obviously, the Discord. So for anyone who's watching, Doomsday Discord, really lovely place. All the people there are fantastic, and there's a lot of active discussion. So it's really good to just bounce ideas off each other. And so I felt really comfortable with the list I'd sort of built going into it. So I guess that's an awkward segue into going into the deck tech. So,
yeah, I've seen you dipped into several colors here.
Yes, so for those not familiar, Doomsday, most lists now are pretty much pure blue-black in the main, and then normally there's 1, sometimes 2 splash colours inside. Most people are opting for Bug at the moment, for Veil, Carpet and Abrupt Decay, but some people are going for more of a Grixis build for the Red Blasts and a Braid. I'm really greedy, so I went for all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, any questions before we sort of just talk through it?
No. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll start with the mana base. So pretty simple. We've got the normal 8 fetches. I've never liked having the additional 9th Black X Color Splash fetch. So for example, like the Verdant Catacombs, I've always preferred having sort of a primary blue based mana base, especially with
me too.
Yeah, especially
me
with
too.
days in the deck. You're more often going to be fetching basic island than you are basic swamp. So
definitely. Yeah.
So that's much more important. Oh, sorry, yeah, Karen.
Yeah, and you opted for just one basic island in your deck. Yeah. I know that like some people play 3 basics and some people play 2.
Yeah, so the basic island, if I wasn't on 4 colours, the tertiary splash, so the Volk, would be a second basic island, I think.
Yeah, I see. Okay. Because sometimes you see these kind of 4 color decks running some lands in the sideboard, but I don't see it. I see that you're not doing that.
Yeah, so I have tried that in the past, and it is quite fun because, especially on Resolution of Doomsday, your opponent can look through your deck, and when they don't see a splash color that they, then are not expecting for the sideboarded games, and you just sucker punch them with it. It's quite fun, but I think it's probably just leaner having it this way. So I opted. The way I think about the splash colors is I have like a secondary splash and a tertiary splash. So obviously we're blue black at heart. Well, actually we're mono blue. We just happen to have a win condition that costs black.
Yeah.
And so.
But we're still not playing Urborg.
No, we're still not quite at that. We've got Dark Ritual. We don't need the Urborg.
Yeah.
So what we've got is, in terms of our jewels, we've got 1 jewel for our tertiary splash, so just for the 2 red blasts here, and then we've got both the black X and the blue X jewel for the secondary splash for the green. And then that way we can just fetch it no matter what we've got to get all our colours. And then of course we're running Cavern. It's not really a land, it's a spell. It just happens to say land on it. But this is huge. I was a bit skeptical at first seeing people running this in the main, and I was like, yeah, this is a great sideboard card, but I've now been fully converted.
yeah, me too. It's great main deck. And for a long time I didn't run it at all, and then I put it in the sideboard, and then finally just in the main deck, and it's great.
Yeah. So that's sort of the mana base. Really solid. I rarely find issues with fetching, despite sometimes boarding in all 4 colours. And obviously that's supported by having 3 petals. I haven't quite gotten into going for the 4th. I think 3 is a good balance, because obviously these could ramp you fixing, which is very important, but you don't get flooded out with them. Obviously 1 LED. It's pretty much a needed thing, especially when you want to go fast. It's a core enabler of a lot of the speedier piles and a lot of the turn 1 wins. So we've got the normal Cantrip Cartel, 4/4 Preordain Brainstorm Ponder. I've got the 4 rituals, obviously it's a staple for casting Doomsday. And then I've got my 4 discard spells, which most people at the time were opting for 4 duress. I went for 3 and a Thoughtseize, because I think there's a lot of equity in having that option for taking creatures, and sometimes you just want to hit like an Eidolon of the Great Rebel, you want to hit like a Canonist, a Meddling Mage, and there was a big rise of death and taxes leading into the event.
Yeah, I think that was a smart choice. I think the number of duress you play depends on how much Delver you're expecting to face, and I think like duress is one of the best cards in my opinion against Delver.
Yeah.
But it can be a bit silly when you duress and see, the goblin lackey of a cavern, or a Lesotho shepherd, or meddling mage.
Yeah,
it can definitely be awkward. So I can appreciate that the mix is good.
Yeah, and then one of my flex slots, I actually have a Spell Pierce in the main. So this is just an additional bit of on primary color protection. That just hits everything. It hits Narset, it hits Chalice, it just does a lot of things, and it's quite a neat little thing to have. So you can easily board it out when it's not needed, but it does a lot of work.
It's super flexible.
Yeah,
it's really good.
And some people opt for Flusterstorm in the main, but I think the fact that this hits Planeswalkers and artifacts, and also things like Deafening Silence, can be quite important.
Yeah, and I think like Spell Pierce versus Flusterstorm, it also has to do with how much stifles you expect, because Flusterstorm is one of the best things to fight stifle if they're going for your Oracle trigger. But on the other hand, as you said, Spell Pierce hits Sylvan Library, Oko, and Narset.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then we've got 4 days, because it's really good. It lets you go quick, and it can really punish some of the slower decks of the format, even when you're on the draw. Like I'm super happy to daze like a 2-mana Hate Bear, or even like a Sylvan Library from Snowko. If they're going to run it out, then sure. I'll
we play Lotus Petals, we play Dark Rituals, and so like setting us back a land isn't the worst.
Yeah. Then we've got Ideas About. I'm so happy that this is playable again.
Me too. I have a lovely altered version that I just love to play with.
Yeah. Oh, for anyone, just a quick aside, for anyone who hasn't seen Hulahula's deck in paper, it is beautiful. Honestly, you should ask him to whip his deck out. And
I mean, it once was fully altered, but then they banned some stuff. So, and I just haven't got to get the rest of the card altered. But it's a nice slow project of mine.
But yeah, Ideas Unbound over Predict, because it's a much better enabler for a lot of the piles. It doesn't rely on the graveyard at all, so there's no unearthed shenanigans here. And it means that, unlike with Predict, you can't get punished with like a Surgical quite as easily, whereas Predict, you had the chance of milling the Oracle, which can be pretty brutal. And then obviously we've got our favourite fishy friend. So this guy has literally single-handedly reinvigorated the entire archetype.
Yeah, so it's insane. Like it's if you got to design a card for Doomsday, like at the end of last year, like it would maybe look something like this. Like it's just what we wanted.
Well, it wasn't even this. If I was to design a card for Doomsday, it'd be Magus of Doom.
Yeah.
Because I need more of these in my deck. But this is better than anything I could have designed for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So the last 2 slots in the 2-drop are Edge of Autumn. It's just a free cycler when your life total is sort of under duress. and Limdol's Vault. So a lot of people are really big on personal tutor at the moment because it's much quicker. It finds your title card. But I much prefer the flexibility of Limdol's Vault because it can find, in theory, everything or multiples of things, and you can do it at the end of turn. It just does everything I want, and it gets one of the important things. As much as we don't care so much about Chalice of the Void set to 1 nowadays. When I am against a Chalice matchup, having Limdol's Vault is just so good, especially when I'm on the draw and say they've just Chaliced on 1. Then just being able to tutor up what I need for 2 mana, just great.
Yeah, I think it's one of the weaker cards in the deck, but it's just good enough.
Yeah,
for me at least.
So Limdol's Vault basically should read Doomsday.
Yeah.
That's what it is 90% of the time.
Yeah, it is.
And then the last rounded out, obviously Force of Will. I've always a lot of people like. If anyone was familiar with Age P on the Discord, or he was known as Nanda or Namita on the old Stormboard / MTZ Salvation forums, he absolutely hates Force of Will. The only thing he does, he's an old school Doomsdayer, and he loves discard, hates Force of Will. So the only thing that stops him loving this deck so much is the fact he has to play Force of Will. But I'm the opposite. I think that I'm playing it. I'm so happy that I can play a deck with Force of Will and Lion's Eye Diamond in.
Yeah, definitely.
This is the dream for me.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, and then the final choice is obviously 2 Street Wraiths. So obviously the second Street Wraith is also a flex slot. I like having 3 cyclers available because it makes piles that move around Mindbreak Trap much easier. It's a really easy sideboard slot to go out, and it just lets you filter through the deck a little bit quicker.
Yeah, and I mean, this is not vintage Doomsday where like Street Wraith has some extra value. Like we can't cycle into a Gush or something to get us into the pile from 0 mana and drawing multiple cards, but we can still, by having multiple cyclers in the deck, resolve Doomsday and put something like a Force of Will or a Daze on top, and be a bit safer if we're passing the turn. Yeah,
it also super enables like a lot of the Brainstorm piles. So a lot of the time you might have a hand where you've resolved Doomsday and you have, say, a Street Wraith in hand, a Brainstorm in hand, 1 extra card, and no additional mana. So what you can do then is cycle Street Wraith into a Lotus Petal, use the Lotus Petal to cast Brainstorm, and build a Brainstorm pile after that. So it enables some of the sneaky wins that you can have.
Definitely.
So we'll jump quickly to the sideboard. So obviously this is where the 4 colours come in properly. So first of all, Grave Hate opted for 1 Crypt, 2 Surgical. I think Surgical has a bit more application in other matchups than Crypt does, but diversifying the Grave Hate is a good idea.
Yeah, it does. Surgical does things against other combo decks, but I think having 1 Tormod's Crypt is key, because against deck like Hogaak or Dredge, or when in the situation where you Doomsday and pass the turn, but you have a cyclet, so you can cycle into. You can put a Crypt on top, cycle into it, and put it into play, and be pretty safe for the turn.
Yeah.
So I like that you have 1 of them.
Yeah, and a lot of the time, like a single Surgical just won't cut it. It's only with the decks with like Snapcaster Mage in, which are actually few and far between now, where they run like 3 Surgical, 3 Snapcaster. They can get enough value from it because they can just keep reusing it. But yeah, when you don't have that recursion.
Yeah, but it's also pretty good in the mirror as well, and we've been seeing more and more of that.
Yeah, exactly. So then we've got a single Flusterstorm. This again is just to sort of bulk out a lot of the other combo matchups. It's also really good against the fair matchups where you don't necessarily want to be going down on card equity due to Force of Will, or you just want to trade 1 for 1 with things like discard or sort of small bits and pieces, and just prevent them doing what they want to do. It's just really useful card all around. Then we've got the sort of greedy bit, so the red splash. So we've got 1 Pyroblast, 1 Reb. They're basically the same card for all intents and purposes. But these are for pretty much any blue deck that isn't Delver, I think is the way to put it.
And let's say if you wouldn't splash red, those two slots, what would they have been? Would it have been extra Flusterstorms or?
Probably one extra decay, and then maybe another Flusterstorm, maybe another defense grid.
Okay, I see. Yeah, because they play like it's funny that you say decay because they can play some like middle of the road roles.
Yeah.
Like you can counter spell, but you can also Pyroblast and Narset or Leovold in the same way.
Yeah,
a bug deck would use decay for that purpose.
Yeah, so they're just really good all rounders, and I think if you feel like you can afford to splash them, you should. I know a lot of people have maybe a differing opinion on that, but I think they're just super powerful as the format is currently.
Yeah, and seeing that you only have one jewel for the red splash, I'm guessing that you are not super keen on bringing these in like heavyweight.
Say that again, you cut out a little bit.
Oh, sorry. So like seeing that you only have one jewel for red, mana, I'm guessing that you're not bringing these in where you might be wastelanded a lot.
Yeah, for sure. So if you're against like Delver of Secrets, I would not be bringing the red splash at all. I'd be purely bug for my splash colours. So next we've got Carpet of Flowers. This is pretty much just for the Delver matchup. I know a lot of people bring it in against maybe some of the snow decks, but I don't think it's needed, especially as I've got the Rebs to shore that up. We've got Defense Grid, which is also for the Delver matchup pretty much. I also don't like bringing it in against Snow. I don't think it's needed either.
No. I think I also play Defense Grid, but I basically only bring it for Delver, I think.
Yeah. Although, as we'll see, I'm not sure about them because even with 4 slots dedicated to Delver, it's still such a beating to try and play against. And I keep toying with the idea of just trying to go fearless against Delver and just saying, right, it's a bad matchup, I'll accept that and just improve every other matchup that we've got. But we'll see. So then we've got a Massacre and 2 Decays. So the Decays are obviously just catch-all removal, anything with permanent-based hate that I want to get rid of, bring those in. Massacre is obviously really good against Death and Taxes, against Maverick, against a lot of the like Esper Vial and the slightly dirtlier blue-white based decks, because they often bring in Canonist or Meddling Mage.
Yeah.
So that can get you a lot of equity there. And then we've finally got 2 Veil of Summer. So the Veils, they're kind of... Sometimes they complement the Rebs against like Snowko and stuff, where you just want to maximise on your interaction. And sometimes they're just better because against like Turbo Depths or anything with heavy discard, you much more want Veils than you want Rebs for.
Yeah, I'm interesting in seeing how you sideboard with your deck because I personally haven't played 4 colors and I don't know how I would sideboard with this deck.
Okay, cool.
Right. Like going into the event, was there some matchup that you felt like you didn't have sideboard cards for, or that you ignored, or you think it's balanced?
I think it's mostly balanced. There's a couple of matchups I'm still not comfortable with sideboarding for, like Urza Echo. I have no idea how to approach that match because every time I bring in Rebs, I get hit by Chalice. Every time I bring in Decays, I get hit by Echoes and Narsets.
They squeeze from different angles.
Yeah, and every time I bring in both, I draw the wrong ones to what they have. So this might just be some confirmation bias going through, but I haven't worked that one out for my own style yet at all.
All right.
Okay. So what we'll do is we shall jump into having a look at the matches. So I went 5-3, which I'm pretty happy with.
It's a fine result.
Yeah. So I started playing. So this was the Sunday event Maze of Ith. I live in the UK, and the event started at 7 in the evening, and I finally dropped after round 8 at about 2 in the morning.
Yeah, that's some dedication.
So thankfully I had no work the next day. I had the next day off, so I could have a lie-in. And if I had known that they would retroactively apply prizing down further, I probably would have continued to round 10.
Yeah.
In the hopes to go 10 and no, not 10 and 3. It'd be 7 and 3.
But going into the event, what was your? Did you have a goal, or like how? What was your goal, like results wise?
My goal was to get a positive record and to have fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds like a good thing.
Yeah, and I did both, and it was really good because there was a large contingent of the Doomsday Discord who were all playing, and it was really nice because between rounds, the chat rooms were open, and we were just all sort of just chilling out, talking, discussing matches. A couple of people were streaming theirs, and it had that, despite being coronavirus being a thing, and obviously this was an international event and all of us are living in different countries, it really did feel like we were at the sort of event together, and just having fun between rounds. So yeah, it's really, really good. So we'll kick it off into game 1 of match 1.
Exciting.
So obviously quite a scary username we're facing. Lose the die roll, but we'll accept that.
You get an extra card, yeah.
Yeah. So I think I throw that one away, and I think I keep this one. So fun thing to note, the astute of you might have noticed Yorion was shown. I completely missed that.
I guess that's super easy if you're not used to Magic Online.
Yeah. So I in my head I was going to this match blind, but I was given what deck I was facing, and I just completely ignored it.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, so we've got obviously really nice mull to 6. Super happy with this. So
what do you put back here?
So put back the petal because we're planning to go turn 1 Dark Ritual Doomsday off Underground Sea, protected by Force of Will, and the Edge of Autumn. I'm trying to remember. I think the Edge of Autumn gives a few more options if that doesn't happen. But it might be that the petal is better if we're facing a deck with, say, Days in it, which obviously we're not. But at the time, I completely missed that fact.
Yeah, I think it's fine keeping the edge.
Yeah. So thankfully, my opponent goes turn 1 Astrolabe, and so I know I'm pretty much free from any sort of Days shenanigans.
Yeah. And I'm guessing that you would have gone for it either way. Like if they played Island Go, you would still have just cost Doomsday.
Yeah, and I pick up another Force of Will, which is kind of nice because if I need to, I can try and Edge of Autumn into a blue card with Doomsday on the stack and just go full scale into it. So Doomsday just resolves, which is really nice.
Yeah, it's a great start for the tournament.
Yeah.
Turn 1 Doomsday with Force backup.
So what I do is, how much can we see of this? There we go. So
I think you can make the window larger if you put it.
So I go for a pretty basic setup. So we get Oracle, Cavern, some petals. I've got the edge in hand, so I can already access another card deeper. And so I believe I basically just go for a normal. It's either a normal Ideas Unbound pile, or I take it a bit slower because I don't think my opponent will do anything worthwhile. So I think there's a little bit of umming and ahhing, clicking through.
Yeah, like I would guess that you have some turns here.
Yeah. So actually, what you do end up going is a bit of a slower pile. With Force of Will on top, because then I have Quad Force available for anything that I might actually care about, and then Basic Island, Cavern of Souls, Thassa's Oracle, Street Wraith.
And it's nice seeing that you put like extra mana in the pile as well, because in these kind of situations you ask yourself, how do I lose? And
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we'll just let that play out. Hopefully the replay will work properly, because I know sometimes there's a bug with the cards from Doomsday coming out. So my opponent does some You're in Snowko things, which basically equates to nothing relevant.
Yeah. So this is a fairly good matchup as well.
Yeah, so I would say we're heavily favoured. Even if it is the Stryfo pile version, with Dak Faden, it's still a really positive matchup in our favour.
Like sometimes you can get cheesed by Assassin's Trophy and like some things, but given your hand and the pile you did,
so
it looks pretty strong.
So it is Stryfo pile because they try and resolve a Dak Faden, but we counter that and play our Oracle. Now I'm not sure what our opponent is brainstorming for here. But that is game one to us. So going to game two now.
So like before you press play, what did you do sideboard wise?
Okay, so as you can see, I took out a Preordain, I took out a second Street Wraith, took out the Limdol's Vault, and I took out Thoughtseize and Lion's Eye Diamond. So against Stryfo pile, the game is going to go long, and although I lose out on the potential for a quick win, I'm not expecting to be given that option.
And you're still on 3 petals, so you have a pretty high chance of being able to cast turn 2 Doomsday.
Yeah, exactly. And as you saw, even game one, I had the option to go for a quick win or an immediate win, and I decided not to because it's just safer. So, and then what I brought in, you can see I brought in the 2 Rebs, I brought in the 2 Veils, and I brought in the Flusterstorm. Yeah.
Sounds good.
So I'd say pretty decent 7. Got some cantrips, got a duress, got a dark ritual. Pretty happy with that.
Looks good.
Yeah. So I'm not going to pause too much in this one because I remember this being quite a long game.
Yeah, and you played a lot of rounds as well, so maybe it's good too.
So it might be a long video, but hopefully people enjoy it.
That's fine. And I see you fetching Underground Sea, and I think that's definitely right in this matchup.
Yeah.
They don't play Wasteland, and I think the only thing that they have that destroys lands are Assassin's Trophy.
Yeah, so because I then do get the island just because I'm cognizant that some lists play like back to basics. So I think, right, I'll get this just in case. I've got the Dark Ritual in hand, so I'm feeling pretty confident. And as you can see, I'm flooding out quite a lot, but still picking up some useful bits and pieces. So here I'm basically just searching for the Doomsday.
But you didn't shuffle that Ponder, so you elected to draw the Force.
Yeah, so it was basically the Daze is now a pretty dead card. So I wanted the Force of Will to have to pitch Daze to, and then there was a Preordain underneath that I could continue searching with.
So here we see you just cycling the Veil.
Yeah, cycling the Veil and protecting my Bayou. And as you can see, I am not finding the Doomsday. So that was what was that? What 9 looks there? 2 Ponders, a Street Wraith, my draw for turn, and here I do actually elect to just cycle the
filter.
Now there's an awkward thing here. So Thassa's Oracle, I would normally just throw that away, but I know Stryfo Pile main deck plays, what's the escape exile?
Cling to Dust.
Cling to Dust, yeah. So I know they play Cling to Dust, so I don't want to expose Thassa's Oracle to that and then have to
there is also some value to having Oracle in hand sometimes.
Yeah.
If they have surgical extractions and they can mess with you post Doomsday, it could be nice having it in hand.
Yeah.
And in this spot, I think I'd rather have it than an extra land.
So, and then I'm able to brainstorm my way, but as you can see, I'm now down to 26 cards in library, not a single Doomsday found.
But they're not doing much.
No. So we can assume that their hand is pretty much all permission spells at this point.
And this happens sometimes with Doomsday, and it's always the games that goes like this, and when you lose, you just didn't find Doomsday in the top like 40 cards.
Yeah.
It feels really bad, but I think you just have to accept that that's going to happen sometimes.
Yeah, so there's very few cards I'm willing to fight over. Dak Faden is one of them because it just provides your opponent with so much value. Here, because I need to dig, I'm like, okay, I can hardcore. I just need to find it. So maybe I shouldn't have committed the second Force of Will there. But as you can see, I wasn't finding anything worthwhile for 3 turns. So possibly it was worthwhile. But yeah.
Yeah, and it's all about trading resources as well. Like that Force is going to trade for something later anyway. And I think it's important getting that Ponder through, just because they can untap and to play things that may shorten the game.
Yeah, so I do find Doomsday. So they drown in the lock. I Pyroblast, and I think
you hold Veil as like a trump card.
Yeah. So they have a second drown in the lock. So I Veil, and they have another Force.
Okay, but they're down to 1 card, and you've only seen 1 Doomsday in your deck, so you have 3 to draw to.
Yeah, and the Ice Fang is not gonna kill us anytime soon. However, they do have Uro.
Yeah.
And so I think I give it 1 more draw step to see if we can find anything. They force that, and I daze.
You actually get to use your daze.
I get to use my daze
on turn 14, but you whiff off the brainstorm.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
I mean, it's going to happen, and it feels super bad, but you just have to shake it off.
Yeah, I don't think I played any major mistakes in that game there. Obviously, we found the first the first Doomsday with 21 cards left in the library, which is statistically improbable. But hey, it's
and a lot of playing this deck is about cantripping. Yeah. So like having your fundamentals about cantripping is super important, just to get as much looks as possible.
Yeah. So also an interesting thing to note. I probably shuffle about 80% of my ponders. In general, I don't think people shuffle ponder enough. Especially in combo, because when you cast a ponder, you should know exactly what card you're looking for, and if it's not in those top 3, just get rid of
it. I mean, it's about knowing the speed of the matchup, like how soon do I need the card I'm looking for, but you also have to be really aggressive, and I agree there. Yeah. So when I play Doomsday and don't have Doomsday in hand, I will probably, like on a pre-game, put anything that isn't Doomsday on the bottom and worry about disruption and those kinds of things later, because I have more of them in my deck than Doomsdays.
Yeah, so I don't think I change anything in terms of sideboarding for game 3. So just run it back, and pretty good 7.
Sorry, were you on 4 days in this matchup, or did you board days out?
No, I kept all 4 in.
Okay, yeah. They play 3 and 4 mana spells, so it's reasonable.
Yeah.
Not every game is going to go that long.
Exactly.
As well.
Especially if I'm on the play.
Yeah.
So here we find Doomsday, which is really nice, which means I can ponder into Duress followed by Pyroblast. So I get to dress them, I get to hold Force of Will up, and then next turn I can cast Doomsday with Pyroblast and Force back up if I don't need to use it.
Yeah, sounds good.
I grab the Trop because that leaves the option for Veil in my pile, and also perhaps makes them have to play around it.
Mm-hmm.
And again, Doomsday just resolves.
Yeah, and it resolves with you having Force plus Pyroblast, so it's a great feeling.
Yeah, so I do go for an Ideas Unbound pile this time.
Mm-hmm.
And
you ponder into
the Force just to dig a little bit deeper.
Yeah. I think this is often with Doomsday very, very important to think about. Once Doomsday resolved, you think about what do I lose to?
Yeah.
Because in a lot of matchups, most of the card doesn't matter. Like they don't matter. So you have to identify how you lose.
Yeah. So there, I could have been punished by a Veil of Summer because obviously Red Elemental Blast doesn't counter Veil.
Mm-hmm.
But thankfully they didn't have all the things.
No.
And yeah, Oracle resolves. So was feeling really good. Match 1 in the bank.
Yeah. So are you doing like victory laps around the house now and screaming, or
no,
are you cool when you play these tournaments?
I have to admit I'm normally pretty chill out. But if I make a mistake, I tend to tilt very easily.
Yeah.
I'm unfortunately I'm aware of it. I'm a very sore loser.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the same, and it's one of the reasons I don't enjoy playing these kind of events, because I take it so hard, never at my opponent but at myself, for doing mistakes.
Yeah. So we're going to match 2. This is an interesting one. So this hand.
Ooh.
Yeah. So sorry, I jumped ahead a bit, but what do you think about this hand? I think it's one of, like, we're playing a combo deck with Dark Rituals and Petals in our deck. We are kind of priced into, like, on the play, unknown matchups just go with these kind of hands. Yeah.
I think most matchups in Legacy most decks in Legacy doesn't kill us fast enough to punish us for this.
Yeah, and I basically had the thought, if they let the first Dark Ritual resolve, I have double duress.
Yeah, and you get info on how to play the rest of the game and what you put in the pile.
So, and then I duress them and see this.
Yeah.
So this was not great.
However, Hedron Crab.
Double Hedron Crab Underground Sea. So we're not necessarily dead yet. However, we have to basically have them not draw a fetch land. I think it was our halt. So we are now priced into just going for it, and we have to pass the turn twice.
So here we go for just like a brainstorm pile and like a non-perfect brainstorm pile.
Yeah, so we put the island on top because they can't crab us turn 1, and
they don't play enough removal, and you didn't see removal. So,
yeah, and we
that's
also
not something to play around.
Yeah, we also have Spell Pierce up.
Yeah.
But they do.
Yeah. It happens.
Yeah. So, oh well.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a fair keep on the play against an unknown opponent.
Yeah, it's possibly a bit ballsier than I normally go with, but.
Yeah, I don't typically enjoy these kind of hands, but I just accept that I need to play them.
Yeah. So for this matchup, I think it was take out Street Wraith and Limdor's Vault, add in 2 duress, add in 2 veils, 2 rebs.
Yeah, and I like that you didn't bring Surgical Extraction, because I don't like that card in this matchup.
Yeah, I think
Crypt can be fine, but you have to fight over a lot of things, including Hedron Crabs.
So this was 7. And I chose to keep this because I've got Veil to protect the hand.
So your plan is to play a land and go and say go, or
I think my
one?
Thoughtseize turn 1.
Yeah, for a crab.
Yeah. So.
I mean, it doesn't look like a super strong hand, but I think I would have kept it as well.
So we saw Stitcher, Maya, Vengevine, Therapy, Study, Gravecrawler.
Okay.
So awkward.
Into the Stitcher, yeah.
Yeah. So I took the Stitcher because I think it's the most powerful enabler in their deck that they have. And on that note, I've just been reminded when we get to game 3 of a punt I did quite early on.
And they Therapy for Doomsday, I guess. Yeah.
And they swing and miss. Thankfully, the Ponder finds us the Doomsday, so I keep the Doomsday hidden under Misty Rainforest.
Okay, so you don't go for it there.
So here's one punt that I did. So I should have dazed the Careful Study because this is one of the best things to fight over. Because they can convert some of their hand, which might be dead otherwise, into a live draw, or just filter more likely into answers. And it's unlikely I'm going to be able to daze something. But I guess, I guess I thought, well, they can't punish me necessarily here, and if they do have a spell, but then that doesn't make sense because they might have a Bloodghast.
Yeah. So you opted to take the Daze instead of Doomsday.
Yep.
And protecting the Oracle, I guess, with. No, it doesn't really make sense because you can't draw the Doomsday. I'm just thinking about if you should have just drawn Doomsday and cast it there.
Yeah, possibly.
You are susceptible to Cabal Therapy, which you know about.
Yeah.
So it's not. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Probably suboptimal. I definitely am less used to facing against the blue-based Hogaak lists. I'm more used to the Jund ones, and that inexperience definitely shows in match 3. But we go for it, and I actually elect to keep a land up because we've got the Oracle in hand.
Yeah. And I'm guessing that you put a land in the pile.
I did, yes.
Yeah,
Put the basic island in the pile. So we Veil in response to the Therapy. They do some things, and we win the game.
Yeah, I think that was nicely played. Having Oracle in hand is a bit troublesome sometimes against these kind of discard decks, but you held off on playing Doomsday for a turn to be able to protect it.
Yeah. So then we go into game 3. So I don't think I change any sideboarding again. This is a fairly good hand. It's got a Doomsday. It's got protection.
Yeah.
It's got
just need a Dark Writ.
Yeah, it's got an answer to Crab if Crab resolves. So I actually very aggressively duress there.
Yeah, I think that's definitely right.
Yeah.
Because in this matchup, you don't have a cantrips in hand, and it will take a long time to find another Doomsday. Possibly.
So there was a massive punt. Okay, so they cast a Cabal Study, and I have 2 Pyroblast effects in hand. I should have
used one
to counter it.
Yeah.
So that was the first error. Ooh. And actually in chat, I do admit to my opponent that I am making a couple of mistakes. So I daze the Cabal Therapy flashback.
But here you go for the Pyroblast.
Yeah.
You noticed the mistake from earlier.
I was like, oh, I'll close the chat log, but that closed the game log as well.
Yeah, you go to the right, to the little bubble there, show chat. Game log.
Yeah. Okay, so then I remember this time, so that's when I realised my mistake.
Yep.
So we do a little bit of digging. The only problem is obviously with the Volk, I can't then have black available.
Yeah.
And as you notice, I have actually hidden my Doomsday away here.
Yeah, and I hate these kind of situations when you don't have double splash duo, just like in situations like this.
So I hid it away, they therapy for it, which I then managed to avoid, which is nice. They do have a crab in hand, I think. So we then find black for Doomsday, but I can't pass the turn because I'm at 8.
So you need to draw a draw spell here.
Yeah, so...
And you do that.
I draw probably the best draw spell I could.
Yeah, one that's free and doesn't cost any life.
Okay, so this is probably the bit of the tournament that sticks in my head that I kind of tilt off the most. So we cast Doomsday, it resolves, and my opponent has 2 cards left in hand, which I believe I don't know either of them. So I'm trying to work out whether I should play around removal or not, because we've got it was play around removal or play around some form of counter magic, I think.
Yeah, because you can't cycle into. You can't draw to 0 cards here, right?
I can't.
Since you have the edge in hand.
Yeah. So because I have the edge in hand, I can't use a Street Wraith to cycle into it. So what I spend a long time, I think, tanking over my pile. And there's something very key here that I completely forgot, which if I was playing this in paper, I would have had a hold of. And that's the fact my life total is at 2.
Yeah.
So I was obviously cognizant of it for the purposes of Street Wraith. However, I completely forgot about it for the purposes of fetch lands.
Okay. Yeah, so you will be at 1 once Doomsday resolved.
Yeah.
And then you can't fetch.
So what I was trying to work out is if they played removal, what removal they played. And if I had been smart, I would have looked up what Gak normally plays, and I would have seen one particular removal card.
Is it Assassin's Trophy?
It is, yes.
Yeah. I thought about that. Like you could do Ideas Unbound, Petal, Oracle, and
Swamp.
Basic land. Yeah.
So that is the pile I should have built, but because I completely blanked on my life total, I do in fact build something that plays around removal but doesn't play around the fact my life total is 1 after Doomsday. So I almost get it in the right order, but if the fetch land had been the basic swamp, we would have been fine, and this delta would have been an underground sea. So I do.
I see. It hurts.
So actually, I realised my mistake before fetching, and there's a bit of an interaction between me and my opponent where I go, "Oh no," and my opponent's just like, "What? What did you do?" And I'm like, "I may have made a mistake." It turns out they did have a trophy in hand. They were kind enough to let me know afterwards. We did actually. They're on the main Legacy Discord, so we did actually get chatting afterwards. But yeah, so that match I should have been able to win if I had thought about it a bit more, but unfortunately.
Yeah, but now we have gone over it. You've looked at it again. Yeah. It's over. You can move on.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the main takeaways from this tournament was the fact that I just got over that so quickly. So I have played in like GPs before where round 1 or round 2 I've made massive errors because of, I don't know, nerves or something. And it's just destroyed my ability to think straight. because I'm just being so self-critical. And I think a big part of the fact that, again, just jumping into the Discord, chatting with the guys, having fun, and just being like, well, actually, was it that bad? Probably not.
Yeah.
So, game round 3. So win the dice roll. Feeling fine, getting into it, refresh, and given how can you be sad?
What kind of hands do you?
you can't be mad. It's the deck taketh away and the deck giveth, and
I mean we take this.
Oh yeah, we 100% take it and we just slam
every time.
So we just go for it. There's no response.
Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of rebound hand you need after a punt.
So what I do is I build something a little bit slow again, because we don't know what we're against. We might be wastelanded, and we can utilize the brainstorm. We can utilize the preordain and the fetch land to thin the pile out quicker if we need to. So we don't do anything too fancy here.
Yeah, and once again, the easiest way for someone to disrupt you, from this position, I felt is to destroy your mana.
Yeah.
And they will sometimes try very aggressively to kill everything that you got.
Yeah. So
you can basically never go wrong by adding extra mana in your piles. Yeah. In these kind of situations.
So our opponent wastelands us, which means they could still be on pretty much anything, and then they reveal they're on Goblins. So this basically means I have free reign to end of turn brainstorm and just go for the win this turn. And I've got days up in case they have any weird tech, and I can actually preordain into a perfect pile as well. So I do so just in case.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
What do you think about the Goblin matchup now when they got that new Muxus guy?
Muxus. When I saw Muxus, I was so confused as to why he'd be good, and I still think he's maybe a bit optimistic because without Lackey, he tends to have sometimes a hard time coming down. But
I think that
it's so much fun watching him land.
Yeah, and I think they've increased the number of Skirk prospectors and the one that makes a token. So I think they're ramping to it in a way, but I'm more scared of Goblins now than I've been before. And just a lackey of a vial and lackey of a cavern on turn one could be so scary just when they have these 6 drops in their deck.
Especially as a lot of them are running Mindbreak Trap now. Either 1 to 2, maybe more. I think it's only 2 normally maximum, and that can be a real pain to have to play around. So sideboarding wise, I take out 2 Duress and bring in 2 Decay, and I think that's it.
Sounds good. Yeah. Sounds good. You're keeping the cavern for Pyroblast?
Yep, keep the cavern in for Pyroblast. So we have an alright hand, and thankfully we're rewarded by Lackey off of Badlands.
Yeah.
So because I don't necessarily have a quick hand, I thought I'd fight over that and just try and take it slow. I also don't respect Wasteland because I have just got so many lands in hand.
Yeah. And I think in some spot with this deck, it's it will hurt you more respecting Wasteland than if you're not doing it.
Yeah.
Because Doomsday is still triple black, and you can screw yourself over by being cute and patching basic island.
And our opponent doesn't necessarily have that many threats that are just 1 mana. So we see here they actually have the Wasteland, but they have to use it to try and get on the board. And that gives us a nice opening to just cast Doomsday off of CC Petal. I do some maths to work out what's the likelihood of Pile Driver killing me next turn, based on what's the most likely thing they could get down with haste, which I think is just the Lord.
It's a 2/2, right?
Yep. So I was like, right, 2/2 plus 2, so 3, 5. So they can hit me for 5, and then if I'm cracking a fetch land, does that matter? No.
No. Okay.
And we played the Petal last turn, so we don't have to worry about something like Mindbreak Trap.
And you're just the luckiest person drawing Doomsday.
No. So last turn I actually cantripped.
You pondered into
Ponder, and so I kept Ponder on top because sometimes I've seen, at least locally, Goblins players play Thoughtseize.
Thoughtseize, and they showed you black mana as well.
Yeah,
so that's fine. So I didn't see the pile you made there, but there we have the war chief as well. Is it mind break trap proof? Your pile?
So I think this is the Magic Online bug.
Yeah. You know, I noticed it when it stacked. It put the island on top, right? So I guess you put Ideas Unbound.
Yeah. So what we stacked is Ideas Unbound on the top, drawing into Force Petal Oracle, and then we play our fetch island at the bottom, fetch to the island, and so we play around Mind Break Trap because we have Force plus Ponder.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a win.
Nice.
Nice and easy. So feeling much better now after round 3, and again we go into round 4.
And this is a person with a orange sign around their avatar, and you have to be extra careful about those.
Oh, do I?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
I think you get those when you do well in an event or something like that.
Okay, well, there you go. The more you learn. So I did
usually not on Chalice, often on Delver or blue control. Yeah.
So I think I keep this hand. It's not great. In fact, it's pretty bad. So maybe I should have risked the 5 instead. But I figured.
Oh yeah, it was a mulligan to 6. Okay.
Yeah. But I figured with my opponent going to 5, I should have enough disruption and enough of a stable mana base to hit a cantrip, because a lot of the deck is cantrips.
That's true. And when the opponent goes to 5, Duress, Pierce, Daze, and Thoughts gains a lot of value.
Yeah. So to everyone watching, I would not advocate keeping this. Well, actually, in retrospect, but I did.
Yeah, it can go really wrong.
Yeah, you can get super punished easily here.
Like in general, I don't like keeping hands with two less that are missing on lands or cantrips.
Yeah, so we're against Hogaak again. But our gamble pays off, and we do in fact find the Preordain, and so we can snipe the crab.
Yeah, and you leave them with a pretty non-functional hand.
Yeah.
Interesting dazing there. I think maybe I would have just let that resolve.
The thought process was I don't have a second land, so I'm.
Oh yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense then.
And they don't, although they don't know what I'm on, they've seen Underground Sea, Petal, Thoughtseize, so they can probably guess.
And if they miss on the first one, they will hit on the second one.
Yeah, so I basically just wanted to make the most use of the cards I had at the time.
Yeah, and I think that's right.
So I think I bottomed both of those.
Mm-hmm.
So here we're looking for a bit more land or the Doomsday.
Yeah, it's basically Dark Rit, Black Swords, or Doomsday.
Yeah.
So otherwise, shuffle.
I do risk the Brainstorm there, and it pays off. And we find the Doomsday, and we've got Spell Pierce up in case of something like what's the
Dryadar Brain to Cabal Therapy.
In this,
Ultimate
Dementia. Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to think of. So here we just wanted this, and I basically just risked. Oh no, sorry, I didn't. I took a little bit more time because they have a lot of ways to punish us if we Doomsday pass. Especially with the two Vengevines in the graveyard.
Yeah,
so
I can see that. But on the other hand, with one card in hand, it's pretty difficult for them.
Yeah,
casting 2 creatures.
But it was basically the idea being if they hit a crab, that's really bad. If they hit some creatures, that's really bad. Altar can be really bad. So I figured I would risk trying to find Dark Ritual Cantrip.
And you have a good setup for the next turn now, so
yeah,
mission accomplished.
So then the worst scenario happens, but the best. Yeah, best result. And I do the maths here. They've got 0 cards in hand. They can attack with a Vengevine. So unless they draw exactly Vengevine here, I'm okay to win.
Yeah, they have also Stitcher into the zombie guy, right?
Yes. And actually, they can't win off drawing Vengevine because they only have 3 mana.
Yeah. And yeah.
Again, this is the Modo bug, so...
Yeah, I was about to say.
What I did play was Ideas Unbound into Cavern, Oracle, Edge, win. So, yeah. That was that. And we go into game 2. I think it was pretty much the same as the first one, except this time... no, I think I brought Cavern out last time as well. Or maybe I didn't. No, I don't think I did, actually. So I think this time I did take Cavern out. Because looking it up, they didn't have any counter magic in lists that I saw.
Yeah, and if they're dipping into blue, I'm guessing that they would play Flusterstorm as their counter spell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this seems like a reasonable hand. Obviously, Ideas Unbound is a little bit awkward, but that's fine.
So I was about to say, do you play the Volk here?
Yeah.
I mean, the fetch land has a lot of value with your cantrips, but on the other hand, getting black mana on board early is important, especially when you have the pestle.
Yeah, and so I think it was justifiable playing it to begin with, but when I then had a second fetch land, that's probably when I should have fetched C to do everything else.
Yeah, because now you're 1 turn off, extra turn for casting Doomsday. Yeah.
So we hid a Doomsday on top of the deck, which gets rewarded from the therapy. And we super aggressively force a Will of Gravecrawler. But they have second Gravecrawler. And there they were debating whether to Hogaak or not. So we get a Brainstorm.
Okay, and they couldn't Hogaak without exciting their therapy? Or why didn't they cast it?
Because they couldn't attack me and therapy at the same time.
Oh, okay.
And I think next turn they've probably got creature in. They're probably hoping to draw creature and then play the second Gravecrawler from the graveyard. Oh no, sorry, no. What they'll do is they'll probably, if they can, Gravecrawler and then cast Hogaak.
Yeah, and I see.
Yeah, so we do Hail Mary Ideas Unbound and draw into Dark Ritual plus Ponder, which is really nice. And again, I cast Doomsday, disrespecting them being able to kill me instantly. So they don't have any other haste things. That's a 2/2. That's a 4/3. We go down to 7, so we can win at 1 life left.
I think this matchup usually feels a bit dicey, but I think looking at the statistics, it's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
But they have these hammers like Altar or Hedron Crabs in some spots, so they can have draws that are really hard to beat.
Yep. So then we just again Modo bug. So it was Petal, Edge, Oracle. Yeah. So it was the perfect one. Yeah. So round 4 done.
So you're 3-1 right now?
3-1. Yeah.
Yeah.
So feeling pretty good. And like this is not the best of hands. You can definitely do better. But we've got Dark Ritual, we've got Cantrip, we've got lands, and we've got 2 forces for any shenanigans. So kept it.
Yeah, like remove the cantrip and it's unplayable, but it's just fine enough with 1 cantrip.
So obviously we see snow-covered forest into Astrolabe.
Feeling pretty good about that, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah. This is also a reason why maybe not Carpet of Flowers is the best against Snowko.
Exactly, because they can just aggressively fetch the non-island basics.
That was maybe the best draw after Doomsday that you got there.
And that Brainstorm was pretty mean to us as well.
Yeah, but that was it was good.
So, maybe I should have fought over the Oko, but I figured if I can try and find the Doomsday or cantrip into Doomsday, then with them tapped out and me having force days, it's much better to fight over it. So
definitely,
I basically took the gamble that the game wouldn't go long enough where I care about Oko at all.
No, you will find Doomsday fast enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a lot different also finding Doomsday and passing the turn or winning in the same turn. Because if you can assemble Doomsday plus cantrip, you can go pretty low on life against Snowko without problem.
Yeah, unfortunately the deck does punish me a little bit by me drawing just dazes and rituals. So I fight over this Uro just because I've got spare mana and I need to buy myself some time. But I don't buy much. And lo and behold, I draw another force, so I scoop.
So how many Doomsday would you play in Doomsday if you had the choice to play more than 4?
Probably 6.
Yeah, I think that's about right. Unfortunately, we have no good tutors, so...
Yeah, exactly. But you can get Doomsday flooded. So in this one, I actually took out both Street Wraiths. And took out both Street Wraiths, Limdor's Vault, and a Duress. Oh, and a Thoughtseize. And I brought in Rebs, Veils, Flusterstorm. Yeah.
Do you like Lionside Diamond in this matchup?
So interestingly, if you remember, I actually took it out back in match 1. And I've been very inconsistent with my sideboarding here. I kept it in for this one, just because I figured sometimes you can just steal a win. Especially with me being on the play.
Yeah, and in some matchups where you don't think you will need the Lionside Diamond, sometimes it will happen that you will lose because of it, but it's not often.
Yeah. And look at this.
What kind of hands do you draw?
I draw just the best hands. So this is turn 1 Doomsday Dark Ritual with Veil and Force of Will backup. So there's very few draws that a Snowko player could have that can even think about fighting this. So I do actually Veil here, and then I draw a Daze. So it's just... crazy. And the reason I Veil there instead of Force is because then it gives me the option to have Force open without requiring a mana constraint, or accidentally drawing an extra card on my combo turn, on my winning turn.
Yeah, you're giving up one shot mana, but on the other hand, Force handles anything.
Yeah, and again, Modo Bug. So I think there it was basically just a normal. I think it was a more of a grindy play land. Well, in fact, we can build it from scratch. So ideas about so it was the old basic island. I think a Brainstorm, Thassa's Oracle, a Petal, and then Edge of Autumn. Something along those lines.
Yeah, feels very safe.
Yeah.
You have mana, you have cards to dig into your pile, you have the Cavern, you have the Oracle.
Yeah, so should be all good to go there. And I don't think I change anything sideboarding wise. Oh no, I take out Daze. Take out Daze. And I bring in the Duress back.
One good thing with you running the blast effects is that you don't need to bring decays in this matchup.
Yeah, exactly. There are no cards that they can resolve that aren't blue that I care about, I think. Especially as they're not on white.
Yeah, I was about to say, because on white they could have Deafening Silence or Canonist or something like that. But Pyroblast being both a counter spell and a removal spell is nice in this matchup.
Yeah. So again, this is another hand where, although it's a 7, it kind of is a 5. But I figure thanks to the Ponder and
of course you draw Doomsday off the top.
Look, man.
And ponder into Dark Rit.
Yeah, so we ponder into Forcible Dark Ritual, which is really nice.
Yeah.
So
I mean, this deck is pretty good, right?
Yeah, so we thank our opponent for feeding our days with a relevant card, and we just jam. Oh no, we do just jam. We duress first and then see what's up, and build a pile, which I think was just again a nice slow one. So I could have done something a bit speedier
with Ideas Abound
with LED, but again, there's no need to rush.
And they also were on 3 cards, and you knew all 3 of them.
Yeah.
So
Sylvan, don't care. No. And yeah, basically, because they've only got 1 card in hand, and I've got the Ideas Unbound, there's no card that you can draw that can punish me going for an LED line there.
No.
So I think I basically just play LED, jam Ideas Unbound, crack that for blue, cycle edge into Oracle.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
So yeah. So far so good. So at this point we are 4-1. Yeah. So yeah, feeling pretty good. That's much better than I expected to be doing.
you didn't bump into any like really terrible matchup either.
No, so I've been quite lucky so far. So we win the dice roll again, and I mean the deck just keeps on giving.
Yeah. The hands that you keep with Doomsday in it are so much stronger than if you had to dedicate your early turns into finding it.
So there's an interesting discussion point here. So they go Plains Ether Vial, so we're against Death and Taxes. Would you have dazed the Ether Vial
there? You had blue card, but no. You had force, but no blue card.
Yeah, I had. No, I had. I think Brainstorm. Yeah, force, daze, Brainstorm.
And you didn't have a second land, or did you have? You had the sea. You had the sea.
Oh no, sorry, no, I didn't, because I draw sea for turn, and then these 3 off the Brainstorm here. So I had Petal, Basic Island Petal.
Yeah. The problem is it also depends on how long you think this game is going to go, and with you having Petal and Doomsday in hand, you are kinda wanting to end it rather quickly.
Yeah.
And in that case, you don't care about Vial. You just let it resolve. Because if you counter Vial here, they can on 2 just play their Thalia or Spirit or whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah, and my thoughts exactly. It was try and get it so we can Brainstorm into fetch and just get black as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing.
So we do that. We find this, and we're basically just looking for more black mana here.
I've noticed that, like in general, I let Vials resolve when playing against Death and Taxes.
Yeah.
But I've tried to mulligan against to fast hands against Death and Taxes, and I'm playing 4 Petals. So I don't want the game to go long.
Now, thankfully, we do find another land to replace the one they wasted, but they have port. So we make it so they port our blue source, because currently we don't care about that. And here I basically just keep disrespecting
Yeah.
wasteland. And again, we're now set up so that we have triple black next turn.
Yeah, and even if you didn't find the petal here, you could have, I was about to say the daze trick with dazing your petal, but you put it into play.
Yeah.
Like you could have cost petal, dazed it, returning C, played C, and then have triple black.
Yeah. So, and they also have Skyclave Apparition, which punishes me playing my petal out. So what I do actually do what you say. So here's the daze trick.
Yeah.
So I basically figure I'm running out of time, and so I gamble on them not having anything relevant between Stoneforge, Skyclave, and these vials, and just try and jam.
Yeah, I mean you can't play around much anyway, right?
Yeah,
you can't force pitch Oracle, and you can't wait for several turns.
Yeah, and I think because I was quite lucky because my opponent found they fetched the Sword and Fire and Ice, so they couldn't port me because they were keeping up Stoneforge. So that is the only opportunity I think I have to do that trick, because otherwise they'd be porting this Underground Sea.
The sea, yeah.
So let's see if we can catch the pile before it goes away.
Yeah, it's a brainstorm pile, right?
Yeah. So we basically use force as the additional thing, and it's an imperfect. I think an imperfect brainstorm pile, or maybe it is a perfect one. Brainstorm.
I think you can get to 0 cards with depending on if they port, I guess.
Yeah.
Because you can edge and play ponder and brainstorm. No, maybe you're one short.
Yeah, so I think I basically risk it.
Yeah, and I think Magic Online screwed up the pile there for you.
Yeah, very possibly.
Yeah.
So they obviously tick the vials up, attach sword. Yeah, and they find a land, which means they can port and sword.
Interesting seeing them keeping Skyclave in this matchup. It seems...
this is game 1?
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Forget what I said.
So I basically go, right, okay, they don't have swords, so I can go for it. So obviously, again, this is the annoying bug. So what happens is I go to play Oracle with 1 card left on my deck off the Brainstorm pile, and they have a second apparition for Oracle.
Oh.
Off of Ether Vial. Yeah, so I had in my head that it was okay playing around a Flicker Wisp from Ether Vial, and they didn't have a swords, but I'm not used to this card yet.
No, it's pretty new.
Yeah, so that got me good.
Okay.
So maybe there I could have just built an Ideas Unbound pile, but I think I was assuming that I might get wastelanded and ported.
Yeah, and I think it makes more sense, like playing around mana destruction from them at that point, than playing around Skyclave.
So sideboarding wise, we bring in Massacre and 2 Decay, and we take out Cavern and 2 Duress. So nothing too surprising. So this is a decent hand. It's got...
So what are you suspecting that they will bring in against us?
So I'm thinking they're going to bring in another Prelate if they don't run 2 in the main already, and probably some number of Deafening Silence, and maybe Mindbreak Trap.
Yeah, I've seen Surgical from them as well.
Yeah. So again, I present Lotus Petal out because why not? Find the Doomsday, which is nice. So they tick up, and I think they wasteland me here. Yeah. So kind of awkward, especially given that I have no other blue source. So I do elect to crack Petal to ponder, and I'm rewarded finding more land. and I make a choice to decay the vial, which is going to take up to 2 because then that presents
Thalia at instant speed or something else.
Some massive headaches. So they have Thalia at normal speed. We find Misty, so we just make use of our cantrips, and we've got. I don't know why I didn't take the Force there. Maybe because they already have the thing I care about in play. Yeah, and they're kind enough to not wasteland me, so I jam Doomsday. And I think this is really nice because it shows how little Thalia matters nowadays.
Yeah.
And as you can see, so what I build is my hand is all cantrips, which is really nice because it means I can put a Massacre on top, pay 1 mana for Massacre, and then do a double cantrip pile.
Oh, cool.
With the LED.
Could the JIT stop that? Let's say they equipped JIT at Thalia.
It could, and honestly, I didn't think about it at the time.
I think, and to be honest, if they have 1 card in hand, so maybe they would have gone for it. But if they had anything else, they would have probably played it over equipping it.
Yeah. So.
But on the other hand, you look to be fine either way, right? Even if you can't cast the, kill the Thalia. Sorry.
Yeah.
Just because you can play out the lines of them, and you can just cycle into Oracle.
So here, if the opponent gets a land, that's probably the worst thing for us. But they have to cycle the canopy to find it. And so they elect to not cast Jite so that they can port us. And then we draw Massacre and win. Oh yeah, so they also Flicker Wisp a thing. So I take the opportunity to use a Brainstorm. And again, this is the replay. But effectively, I do... actually, I don't think I Massacre in the end because of what they did. I think I just...
cast Oracle.
I think actually what happens is I Brainstorm, use black, cycle, put back, I think it's like something plus Oracle. It might be LED plus Oracle. Use the black to cast LED, cycle Edge, crack LED, and then cast Oracle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Nice. Nice seeing Flicker Wisp as well, because something to remember that it's secretly a land destruction spell as well.
Yeah. So we don't change our sideboarding at all. And I will never forget the Flicker Wisp land destruction thing because it was an event a couple of years back in London, paper event where I was playing, I think it was the old Ant Burning Wish hybrid deck, and I was playing against Pleasant Kenobi, actually, in paper.
And he usually plays
Death and Taxes.
Death and Taxes.
Yeah, so he was on Death and Taxes, and I had the win in hand with a Massacre ready to get him, and he then Flicker Wisped my only swamp.
Yeah.
So that was... Oh, no, actually, no, sorry, I lie. He Flicker Wisped his own planes. He only had 1 planes.
Oh, to not get massacred.
To not get massacred.
Oh. I mean, that deck is just... It's so good when you have Vial.
Yeah.
And you get to play a couple of turns. I mean, it gets so powerful.
Yeah. So I think I keep this hand because it's fine. It's got cantrips. It's got mana.
You have a daze for a
Turn 2.
or
Yeah.
This is still Death and Taxes, right?
Yeah. This is game 3.
Yeah. Sorry.
So
I'm losing track of it.
Hit Spirit.
Yeah, that's a scary one.
Yeah, especially with how my hand was built. So very happy there. And
you
I very aggressively Petal Thoughts used there because I was concerned that they could play something else really scary, and I'm still digging, and I'm rewarded because I see Sanctum Prelate.
So you're giving up on mana by using the petal, but on the other hand, you don't have answers to a hate bear.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm converting what resources I do have to allow the rest of them to do something potentially.
Yeah.
So our opponent has to basically just jam sword, which is really nice. I risk a brainstorm, which doesn't pay off too much, but we have the ponder, which actually does find the fetch, but we shuffle anyway and find the Doomsday. So
it's Ponderous Tutor.
Yeah,
you shuffle and you get the card you want.
Exactly. So they then think I do actually then just get that maybe was a bit of an aggressive force because they've already got like threat plus whatever out, but we find Dark Ritual Doomsday, so we jam.
Everything's good.
Yeah, everything's good. And I think I go for let's just check.
You draw lines side diamond and then ponder into.
Yeah, I dismount. So I think
Something?
I go for Massacre on top. So I think I take its. Do I go for Massacre on top or? Oh no, it's a double cantrip pile. I think what I do is I go for Massacre on the bottom as a get out of jail free card. I risk Talia and I risk Spirit, and I basically I think it will be draw edge, edge into LED, ponder, crack LED, preordain Oracle. I think that's what I go for. We'll see if that is what ends up happening. Oh no, sorry, yeah, LED first and then ponder, LED and risk port. Yeah, we get hit.
Yeah, and by stacking line side diamond edge, even if they port your island, you can draw line side diamond, play it, and then next turn edge into something.
Yeah, but we didn't have the life. Didn't have the life.
Yeah, you were dead either way.
Yeah. So our opponent is, I think, Horizon Canopying to try and find a Mindbreak trap, and thankfully doesn't find it, and they've tapped out otherwise. So I basically was just risking everything. Yeah. So 5-1.
Yeah, and Maverick. Sorry, Death and Taxes is a pretty good matchup, but it's maybe worth having a Massacre in the sideboard just because it's so strong post sideboard, post Doomsday.
Yeah, and the games they win, it's not the first lock piece that gets you. It's the second or the third. It's the one where they have a critical mass of kind of bits of denial. So like, if they've got like one Revoker, one Talia, one Prelate, and just having a card that just gets rid of all of it.
Yeah.
Even through like Mother of Runes is just.
I especially like it when your other choice for removal is something like Abrupt Decay. That's both black and green and 2 mana. It's kind of hard to cast that card against them.
Yeah. So as you saw, obviously my result for the event was 5-3, and we're 5-1. So there's only one way to go from here, but we'll see how it goes. So
what time is this playing out? It's like midnight or
this one started at midnight, I think.
Yeah. So
starting
to get a bit sleepy maybe.
Yeah, and I have to say, I will admit, the night before, so the Saturday night, I had gone to bed at 4 a.m. after drinking a lot and playing a long game of EDH.
Yeah, but why would you do that?
Because I was visiting friends in Cornwall, so yeah, I was really tired and really not in a fit state to play Magic this entire event. So,
but you just got the best of everything.
Yeah.
Like you got to stay up late, have a good time with your friends.
Oh yeah,
play this event and do well as well.
Yeah, it was. So I was, even more of a reason that I'm super happy with the result.
Yeah, it paid off.
So this is a fine hand, I think. We've got the Brainstorm to hide the Oracle if we need to, and we see Volk into Preordain. So this could be a number of things.
Interesting seeing you playing up a Petal there. I think I would have held it.
I very aggressively play out my petals. It's something you've probably noticed throughout, which has only been punished so far by the Skyclave apparition. But
and that's a matchup in general where I really like playing up petals.
Yeah,
but against an unknown opponent, like on turn 1,
I do it a lot because if you need to fight over something and you're potentially going to face a daze, or if you have, if you go like Island Petal and you cantrip into, say, the Spell Pierce, it's really good. And I'm not afraid of people knowing what I'm on.
Okay, no fear.
Yeah, that's their problem to deal with.
I think I'm just a bit nervous when playing Petal that people will just abandon their own game plan and just start cantripping for disruption.
Yeah. So unfortunately, we are against Rug. So I fight over the Dread Horde, and I double daze to get rid of that because my hand is rubbish and I've got no cantrips.
Yeah, you basically can't, because the Arcane is going to snowball so much, and you're so far away from Doom, so the game will take a while. So
exactly, and unfortunately,
it will make it very.
They do find second Arcanist, so I fight over that one as well because again, we're so far behind. I elect to wait a turn, I think, for this Ideas Unbound.
I think that's a great play because if you can make a land drop of it, it's much better.
Yeah. And I don't want to run it into days and lose the petal as a result. No. They find Delver. Thankfully, this brainstorm fixes everything. Yeah. And so I can see what's going on. They do in fact daze, so I let that happen.
Yeah, I like that thought is there as well.
Yeah.
You're just thinking about what can be on top of your deck, and you're playing it so that works. So you just hope to rip a Doomsday off the top.
Yeah. So again, kind of awkward here. We're under quite a bit of pressure now, so we're just trying to find the Doomsday. We find it. We play the Cavern to cast Daze mana, and unfortunately they have Force and Negation.
Yeah.
So I think we wait maybe 1 or 2 turns. Hail Mary Ideas Unbound, and I don't think we get there. Yeah, so I Hail Mary there because I drew the Dark Ritual because that gives me access to cast the Doomsday if need be. And we're at 7, so if we pass the turn with Doomsday, we're dead anyway, even if they don't have a Lightning Bolt. So we've finally hit the Menace, the Delver Menace. It only took 6 rounds, 7 rounds to get there.
I saw like a similar video to this of someone else playing in this event, and I think they ran into Delver like 3 or 4 times in the in the tournament in the beginning as well. So it's really a downer.
So I'm thinking that maybe my tactical loss in round 2 meant I avoided the Delver matchups. So I could skirt through all the fair decks nicely.
I see.
Yeah.
So what do you do in this matchup?
So for this matchup, we keep it bug. We don't go near Pyroblast or Reb, and we try and board as minimally as possible. So we take out Thoughtseize because the life loss matters. We take out both Street Race and we take out Limdol's Vault, and we bring it in 2 Carpet, 2 Defense Grid.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I think that's good thinking.
So we get this hand, which is really nice. And
I think we'll start calling this hand Doishy hand.
Doishy hands.
From now on. Yeah.
So what we do is we cantrip to try and find some protection, and I elect to not go for it. Because the likelihood of them having a force is pretty high in the matchup.
Yeah, and I even, especially after turn 1 when they have a land in play, I suspect that they would have 2 pieces of interaction.
Yeah,
most of the time.
So what I cantripped for there was actually a land, because I wanted to have my second land drop available, so I don't have to use this petal for paying for a daze. Or for casting a Dark Ritual, but unfortunately we don't get there. But we do find a second Force of Will. So we basically just jam. We do 2 Dark Rituals because that pays for the days, and here we go. And we keep the Preordain. We build something slightly slower, so it's Delta on top, which will be fetching the island, and then. So again, Modo
Yeah, but it's a smart move, and probably expecting the underground sea to get wasted.
Yeah, exactly. And the nice thing is, oh, okay, it did it properly. So actually, no, it didn't, because that was a fetch. So yeah, basically what I did is, because they didn't wasteland me, I could play the preordain, fetch, and now this allows me to have dug deeper. I then edge, so I would have drawn Oracle, edge, cavern, win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and here we see one of the difficulties with this matchup, because if we compare it to Oko decks or the miracle decks or something like that, they basically don't have a clock. So we can do something like this and take it really slow. But here we have to respect both the Delver play, lightning bolts, counter spells,
and maybe even stifle. If we're unlucky.
So you want to take it. You want to draw a cavern. You want to draw the oracle, and you want to have enough mana in your pile. But you also need to draw into your pile or through your pile fast enough not for the Delver to kill you. So it's super tricky.
Yeah, so I think this one we stole, probably. I feel like we got a little bit lucky in being able to resolve the Doomsday.
Yeah, but that's totally fine. You don't notice every time your opponent is lucky against.
Exactly.
So that's fine.
So then we go into game 3. I don't change any boarding, and I'm quite happy with this hand because it has carpet plus days.
So if you pause here, okay, now you drew the land, but I think it's kind of an interesting turn 1, because I've personally been back and forth on carpets.
So
the thing, you need to touch drop, and it hurts so much.
So yeah, the it's interesting because I've played against Delver before with carpets a couple of years back, and it was a very good Delver player because they leveraged their daisies perfectly to deny my carpets actually making mana. And so there is a big risk in this. I think it's good enough because if I can land it, and even if I play carpet, they daze, I daze. If they don't wasteland me, the next turn I still have 2 mana, 3 mana if I draw a land to then start activating these cantrips and or keeping Spell Pierce open. And just your mana base is under such duress in the matchup. I think it gives a lot of advantage. And there's actually a very interesting blue-black shadow matchup, which I posted some screenshots before, that shows just how powerful carpet flowers can be. So maybe we'll have a look at that another time. But
so you're basically saying that your mana base is such under attack either way. So and carpet flowers have a really high upside and helps with one of the hardest things against Delver, which is them denying your mana.
Yeah, exactly. So here we go. We've get wastelanded, but we found underground sea, and we've still got carpet. So we're in a pretty good position, and we found the defense grid last turn. So we just try and jam that down, and it resolves.
Oh, and you get that. Cool.
And again, we had the days to protect the defense grid there. They do find the Nature's Claim.
Oh,
and
I wouldn't expect them to bring that against us.
No, neither would I. So kind of interesting. And although we do find second defense grid, I elect to get rid of it because I basically want to try and find a win condition.
Yeah, they have a Delver in play. The only thing that matters now is finding, because it doesn't matter how many defense grids you have in play if you don't find a Doomsday.
Yeah, so we duress them, and we found Force, Pyroblast, Sylvan Library. The nice thing about Nature's Claim, it did give us a life buffer.
Yeah.
And we're able to daze an Arcanist, thankfully. And we've got all the mana in the world now because we've got 2 carpets going. So now and they're on only 2 lands, so our Spell Pierce is live against something like Pyroblast.
Hmm?
However,
In general, I'm not a big fan of Pierce against Delver, but here I think it's all right.
yeah. However, we cannot draw a relevant
Yeah.
card to save our life. So any
Yeah.
cantrip would be happy with, or the Doomsday itself. But even the Doomsday would have to wait for a cantrip because they've now got Double Delver out and potentially Lightning Bolt.
Mm.
So I feel priced into fighting over that because otherwise they just draw another 3 cards. And
Yeah,
I think
and
my Spell Pierce does nothing.
Yeah, and they have more draws at finding a bolt to end the game next turn.
And again, we're priced into playing grid because if we can draw something, so here we do need to draw, I think, Brainstorm or Ideas Unbound into exactly what we need.
Yeah.
However,
you get an elk.
Yeah, I do find a Doomsday, and I think I try and do some maths, and I'm kind of tired here, but so I basically just cast it because I can't think what else to do.
Yeah, but you hope that the Delver don't flip.
Well, one of the Delvers flips, and
yeah.
So
I
I think I just do whatever and let them hit me.
Yeah. Make them do it.
Yeah,
you need a lot of things to go right against Delver, and you managed with some of them. You established your mana base, you got the carpets, you get defense grids, but you need more.
Yeah. So yeah, we're now at 5-2, and I basically said pretty much throughout the event that if I get to X and 3, I'll once it gets late enough, I'll probably drop and get some sleep. So we go into what becomes our final match of the evening, and this starts at 1 a.m.
Yeah.
And it's a bit of a bittersweet end because this is probably the worst matchup we could face. So
let me think what that is.
It's not what you think. In some ways, maybe I could have got rid of this hand. So ignoring the swamp, it was 3 lands, Ritual, Spell Pierce, Ponder. Not necessarily great. There's definitely a much higher ceiling that I could have got.
Yeah.
And it's relying on this Ponder to do a lot of work.
Definitely, and I mean this is in the middle of the night for you, so I you can do a lot of mistakes here, and it will be totally fine. But I think I would have mulliganed that hand.
Yeah. I think
with the London mulligan, you can get pretty good hands.
Yeah.
And just pre-sideboarding, you're not under too much attack from a lot of decks.
Yeah, I think I basically pigeonholed on the fact that I could cast everything and I had everything I needed, like a bit of everything.
I mean, it's a reasonable hand.
Yeah,
definitely.
But there's definitely a much higher ceiling. And because we've got the Ritual and we see Volcanic Island, we get the basic.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get Thought. We see Thought Scour.
Is it the Grixis Delver with Thought Scour?
It's Grixis Delver with Thought Scour. So this is probably the worst matchup I could have faced.
So they have a fast clock, wastelands, counter spells, spells that interact Thought Seize, hand destruction, and this is
and Thought Scour.
Yeah, things that mess with your pile.
So this is really, I see this and I'm chatting to my opponent here and I basically go, Thought Scour? Because they claimed they were playing something spicy and I was like, this isn't spicy, this is just Grixis Delver. We've got one local who has played this a lot in the past with Thought Scours. So I'm quite used to playing against it. But yeah, so here my hand is looking really bad. They've got an active Dreadhorde Arcanist. It's and a Sprite Dragon, so they've got a fast clock as well.
Yeah.
So it's really not looking good. And So I think I ponder, don't find anything of worth, shuffle, draw more lands, and then pretty much the game is over way beyond this point. But I think I just play it out just in case.
Yeah, I mean, you maybe feel like this is the last one.
Yeah, like
when they played that Thought Scour, you were like, okay.
I did think to myself, I was like, yeah, the writing's on the wall.
Yeah. Finally.
Yeah, so no need for that. So yeah, and I haven't seen Grixis for a long time, so I go into the normal rug sideboard plan, but I also bring in the Veils because of the Thought Seizers.
That sounds right.
Yeah, so I hate... So I know a lot of people cut Preordains quite often. I actually really dislike cutting Preordains because it's part of it is confirmation bias, because we've already seen 2 matches or 2 or 3 games even where all I needed to draw was any cantrip or a Doomsday.
Yeah, but you tend to remember those games so much.
And I'm someone who I would prefer to be mana screwed than to mana flood, because at least with mana screw, as soon as you find the mana, you're off the races, because the rest of your hand is normally gas, and we're such a mana light deck.
Yeah, and if you're flooded, like you're basically just drawing into Brainstorm to try to like resculpt the hand completely. So I can see that. And interesting seeing you cutting Preordain, because I basically never cut it, except for I've started now against Delver, just because I want Days, I want Force, I want all my fast mana, I want all Doomsdays, and I want all Duress. And then if we want to bring 3 or 4 cards, we don't have there's not much to take out.
Yeah, there's very little left to cut, and it's only because they have Thoughtseize and they have Thought Scour that I brought them in. Maybe it was a mistake. We'll find out. So I get this hand.
Ooh,
it's an interesting one.
I think I would ship that.
Yeah, but I was tired and I was like, right, I've got Basic Island, I've got Dark Ritual Doomsday, I have X many chances to draw any cantrip to find a black source or a black source, and to be honest, this matchup's so bad, I just can't deal with it.
Yeah. And to be fair, I think you're onto something here, because this is such a bad matchup, so maybe this is we keep these hands and try to like flip a coin if we find the black mana at the top card.
We're also kind of lucky because our opponent mulls to 4.
Ooh.
So we might have a chance based on that.
Yeah.
So
because I was about to say regarding to sideboarding out cantrips, like against Delver, we need to have like either a dark ritual or a Doomsday or something in hand from the beginning. Yeah. Like we can't just start with a hand with lands and cantrips, because we won't have time to cast them.
So here I feel I made a mistake. So they had turn 1 land Delver. Okay, what I should have done is gone Swamp, Dark Ritual, Doomsday, and just accepted if they had Force of Will, and try to play around Thought Scour.
Yeah, because they were at 2 or 3 cards in hand.
Yeah,
at that point.
And also try and play around Thoughtseize. Just ignore Thoughtseize.
Ignore Thoughtseize, and since you have the Oracle in hand, maybe you can do something against Thought Scour.
Yeah, exactly.
Easier. Yeah.
So I think I had too much fear at this point.
But what did they show you from the dress?
They showed me Days plus Plague Engineer.
Oh, all right.
Which is a bit weird. Oh no, sorry, Ponder Days Plague Engineer.
Okay.
That was it, and I actually took the Ponder because I was like, right, I've got.
You can play around. Play around the Days.
Play around Days here, and if
they have a 3-drop.
Yeah, and then I can play around Days if I kind of go no fear against other things. So they draw a land for turn. So we know their hand. I draw a Bayou, and here, so I basically just go for it because I know their hand. and I think I spent a long time tanking over this pile.
Yeah, and you don't have street wraiths anymore, so you can't like. I was about to say like edge into street wraith cavern or something like that.
So what I really wanted, I was really thinking hard, and obviously in my tired adult state, I wasn't thinking very well. But I basically tried to be a bit cute, I think. And
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. So what,
especially at 1 o'clock in the night.
So what I think in hindsight I should have done is basically just gone something like edge a couple of deltas underground sea, and just gone, okay, we lose to force of will. Oh no, sorry. Edge a couple of deltas underground sea. So we go, okay, we lose to force of will. Okay, we lose to bolt, but we just get it done because Thought Scour makes things really awkward.
Yeah.
Oracle
better not think about that.
Yeah, Oracle in hand means Thoughtseize is bad for us, but Thought Scour is fine. But we need to get second blue. We need to dig deep enough into a pile that we can win, and preferably win through removal, but not too deep that Thought Scour kills us.
Yeah, okay, I see.
And I think I basically just went. I should have just tried to end it the next turn and said, screw it, whatever happens, happens. But I tried to get cute and utilize Veil of Summer. So I basically went for a Brainstorm.
Oh, to draw a card, okay.
So I went for a Brainstorm pile with Veil of Summer protection. So I would draw Veil first, then Brainstorm, proactively Veil, and if they cast something in response to... no, not proactive Veil, sorry. Protectively Veil. Maybe there was logic there, or do I just kill myself anyway? I don't know. It was 1 in the morning.
Everything is all right.
Yeah. So in theory, there should have been a logic, but in hindsight, this was just a terrible idea.
Yeah.
So
it's also nice to get to sleep. Like.
Yeah. So they don't flip Delver, but they have picked up that. Worst comes to worst, my Veil is then nullified because they waste my green source. So I now draw a dead card, which then gives them additional turns, and it makes their days a lot more live that I know they have. And so yeah, it just all goes wrong. So I cast Brainstorm, and lo and behold, they Thought Scour me. So I jokingly force pitch Oracle. Name Sponge. Do as many game actions as I can, and then tell my opponent to have a lovely rest of event and go to bed. So yeah, that was my run.
Well played, and like no shame in losing to Delver.
Yeah, so the double Delver at the end obviously gives it a bit of a kick in the arse. Especially with the last one being the Thought Scour Thoughtseize deck.
Yeah.
But hey, so sometimes that's how it goes, and otherwise, really really happy with the deck. So
definitely, and you played well as well. So it's not only the deck.
Yeah. So yeah, if I were to run it back, I don't think there's any changes I would make to the list. I'm actually really happy with how it felt and how it ran. Obviously, there's definitely some pointers in terms of sideboarding and mulliganing. There's definitely some key bits where I probably don't mulligan aggressively enough. But yeah, so any thoughts on any of that?
No, I mean, I think we're going to see a shift in the metagame pretty soon with the new cards coming out, and even after this event, things happened. Like we saw more death and taxes, and we saw also more hate against Doomsday. Yeah. So I think personally, I noticed it's a bit rougher playing the leagues the last week than it was prior to like the Eternal Weekend.
Yeah, I think the deck is now firmly on a lot of people's radars. Whereas, although it was starting to build up speed sort of towards the beginning of the year, with obviously yourself, Monkeys Can't Cry championing it, Midland coming back on the scene and sort of playing it a lot. You know, people are becoming a lot more aware of it, but I think the Eternal weekend and subsequent challenges, the weekend after, where we had a lot of solid finishes, like there were, I think, about seven people that we were following in the Discord on the Sunday event that I played in, and of those, at least 5 of us went X3 or better, with most going X and 2. And we had
that's super impressive.
Yeah, and we had at least 4 people on, and there were some wildly different lists actually. So Max Dortion was actually on a Astrolabe to Fairy Esper list.
Yeah, I saw that. It was very similar to the one we played in February or March.
So, and actually quite a lot of the London crew. So, I don't know if you know Francis from London. He's good friends with Whitefaces. Callum.
No, unfortunately, I don't.
Yeah, so he's an old school like Miracles player. I've always known him playing Miracles, and he picked up Doomsday this year, playing the Esper Astrolabe version, which he's really into.
Yeah, so. I mean that deck is a lot of fun, and I think it's a reason we held on to it a bit too long, maybe. Especially, at least I did that, because I know some people were on Bug earlier than me, but it's just so fun playing Teferi and Mentor and those cards.
So. Yeah, I think the fact that we had a couple of people on Bug, we had one person on Esper with Labe, we had me on 4 Colours, we had at least one person on Pure Grixis, and all of them were super viable. And to me, it just solidifies that if you put 4 Doomsdays, 4 Dark Rituals, a Thassa's Oracle, and mana to cast it.
Like the core of the deck is so strong. Yeah. And I was about to say regarding color choices for the sideboard, I think neither like green or red is necessary. I think it's nice to get decay from green, and it's nice to get Pyroblast from red. But we could, in theory, manage without them and just be straight blue-black, because the core is very strong. So
I think the even if you elect to not go straight blue-black, because the main is basically blue-black, the first splash is free, in my opinion. Yeah. It's only when you do what I do and get greedy that you then actually have to be careful with your mana and your fetching.
But I must say, I also like what you've done with this deck list, not playing Astrolabes. Yeah. I think the metagame is pretty fast right now, and you can't dirtle around too much.
And I think Days has a lot more equity than Astrolabe does, and playing Astrolabe and Days together can be really awkward sometimes.
It can, and the amount of times where your mana doesn't function because you didn't draw an Astrolabe happens more than you think, and you also slow down the deck by adding just 1 mana draw card to it. So I really like how this deck looks, but I suspect that we maybe will need to do some changes in general, reacting to what happens in the metagame.
Yeah, very likely.
In the upcoming months.
And I think if fair creature decks are coming to be more of a thing, I suspect that Thoughtseize will become more prominent. So converting some or all of these duress into Thoughtseize, it makes Delver matchup worse. But the Delver matchup, as you've seen, is already atrocious, where maybe it just doesn't matter. Yeah,
I think that's true. I think many people move to duress just because of Delver, and I think it fits very nice in this deck. When we lose half a life total, we play Street Wraith. Yeah. But I mean, I've played just against so many meddling mages and Allosaurus Shepherds, and I think there's something, at least for me, that I need to rethink there, because I'm still on 4 duress.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and I also expect maybe red to get a bit more prominent, especially if that new Flash Merfolk becomes a thing. Having access to Pyroblast as more as a removal spell than anything else becomes relevant. So if anyone has seen Nevilshute's videos, Martin Nielsen, he for a long time was championing a primarily Grixis-based list. He did move to 4-color for quite a bit, but it ran a number of Pyroblasts in the main, which at the time I think was too greedy, but it might become a better idea going forwards.
Yeah, that's right. So, what do you think? Did you think about Eternal Weekend Online? Do you think? I don't know if you played Eternal Weekend in paper. I think it's an American event, right?
It is an American event.
Yeah.
I've not played Eternal Weekend in paper, and I've not actually played that many GPs before. But I get really excited when it comes to Eternal Weekend in the States because what's it?
It's like the event.
Yeah, it's their event, and because of the work from people like Jaco, they do a really good job. They, when there's been coverage before from Card Titan, I think it is, they've shown the entire Legacy event and the entire Vintage event, and obviously watching paper Vintage is a novelty. So it's really good fun, and in previous years they've managed to get the entire metagame worth of deck lists online, which is amazing. And huge shout out to the community who do that. And it means that statistics geeks like me can trawl through the numbers of decks played and see exactly what sort of metagame there was, which is really nice. And so I was really happy with the Eternal Weekend, and I enjoyed the God account so much I actually signed up to the Vintage one.
Okay. Did you play in that as well, or just have the account?
I did. I played in the Vintage Sunday event. I knew I could only play for 5 rounds because I had some stuff to do. But it finished earlier, thankfully. It started earlier than the Legacy one did. So it started in 4 in the afternoon. And I played talking with a friend of mine, and my friend was actually on Vintage Doomsday. I betrayed the cause a little bit. I played Underworld Breach.
Yeah, but you get the chance to play that card again.
Yes,
I can see that.
I loved playing it in Legacy when it was legal, and so getting the chance to play it again felt really good. And the deck was really fun. But I'm super happy with the way that Wizards did the event. The tickets that gave you the week-long God account, really good idea. Really support that. And as you can see, it finally got me onto Magic Online.
And I think it got a lot of people into Magic Online as well, because I know at least one of the days it was sold out.
Yeah,
you couldn't get into the.
It was the Sunday Legacy event that I played in. It sold out with maybe an hour to go to the event, and so as a result, they doubled the size of the Vintage events the weekend after. I'm super happy to see that thing. My only gripe about the entire thing is, again, so as I've said this on Reddit as well. The fact that in paper, a small community of people were able to get the entirety of the metagame for both the Vintage and Legacy deck lists, and then when we have it online where Wizards have access to all that information already, we're only given the top 16, I think. Not even the top 32, top 64, top 16. Which is a bit of a joke for a sold-out event of 672 players. Yeah,
and it's all digital as well.
Exactly. So, really, really disappointed in Wizards for not posting that information out. Like, even if they didn't, do anything fancy with it, just give us a CSV file. We'll do the rest.
And like it's not like this is not standard. Like the metagame is not that bad that they won't that they don't want to show it.
And
actually give us everything.
As much as Doomsday players we gripe about Rug Delver being everywhere and being the deck to beat, I felt just from a sort of gut feel and looking at the results that it was a really healthy metagame. It looked like.
I've been playing against so many different types of decks that I hadn't seen for a long time. So I'm rather happy where the metagame is right now.
The only sadness, obviously, being I think we've lost Ant for the time being.
Yeah.
So my apologies to all the Tendrils of Agony's homies out there.
Yeah, Dark Ritual and Force Will is where it's at.
Yeah, so come play Doomsday. We'll welcome you with open arms. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, and I must say we have the Discord channel is just great, and I know you and some other people have worked a lot on both, like making the Discord channel such a great place, but also on the wiki page, where you can learn everything about the deck and how to play it and those things.
Yeah, so if anyone's interested in picking up Doomsday as a legacy deck, then you can join the Doomsday Discord, which I will post a link to, or you can come visit the Doomsday Wiki. So if you put in ddft.wiki or doomsday.wiki or doomsday.something.wiki, we've got so many different addresses that navigate to the site.
Doomsday in the Google search bar.
Or if you just put the Doomsday Wiki in Google, it will be the first thing that comes up. And that is actively maintained, and it should have all the information you need in terms of sort of deck construction, some sideboarding sort of tips, articles on how to cantrip and how to use your protection, how to build your deck. There's been a lot of love put into it to try and make it the sort of easiest way to pick up the deck, because the deck has this urban myth that it's difficult to play.
Yeah,
and
it really plays a role now as well when so many people are coming into playing Doomsday.
Yeah,
and it's really growing. So I think it's helping a lot of people.
Yeah, the thing to remember, it's not that it's a difficult deck to play, it's just a punishing deck to get wrong. So, and that's much lessened now that we have Thassa's Oracle.
Definitely, and I think the thing that makes you good with Doomsday is the same thing that makes you good, like in playing Magic in general.
Yeah, what you said before. So cantripping, fetching properly, just your fundamental skills, and it's really fun. It's a really rewarding deck to play because when it goes right, you can have some really crazy scenarios which you just, it's that old meme, the Inception meme with Leonardo. So it's like the old.
You feel like the silliest idiot sometimes.
Yeah.
But sometimes you're doing like the 5D chess thing.
Yeah. So sometimes you kill yourself playing 5D chess, and sometimes you win the game. Some local players have started making a joke that it's what I do, where I resolve Doomsday and I think so far ahead that I become my opponent and win the game for them.
That's good.
Anyway, thank you very much, Hulahula, for joining.
Thank you.
Hope you enjoyed this.
I definitely did.
Yeah, so it was interesting making a video for the first time, and if people enjoy it, please let me know, and maybe we'll look to have a go at making something else.
Yeah.
But otherwise, thank you very much, and everyone keep safe, stay indoors, while the virus is out, and hopefully we'll see you on the Doomsday Discord sometime. Bye for now.
Bye.